Do you want to hire A-player appointment setters every single time that book 24 calls in their first 48 hours of being onboarded? Or double David's appointments in his first week and get him the fastest results he's ever seen in his life? Or add 20K a month to chase his coaching business without touching ad spend because we're booking more leads from the same pool? Or scale Luke's business from 25K a month to 84K a month in just 45 days? Or Carson's business, adding 30K a month while doing less work and adding eventually 70K a month over 8 months? Or getting Nolan to his first 100K month within 30 days from 70K? You get the point. This is exactly how we vet setters to make sure that they will come in and immediately just crush it for clients. So you can just literally take the blueprint, steal it, run it for yourself. So what makes a setter a good fit? We look for two things: logistics and skills and traits. On the logistical side, this is obviously just making sure they're actually able to work for your company logistically. So they have full-time availability. They can work 6 days a week minimum. They don't have any other significant commitments that will get in the way. Whenever there is another significant commitment, it always just doesn't work. And then they have to be based in the US, Canada, UK. Now, why do we only hire from native English-speaking countries? It's because that is where the best talent is found. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who have had South American setters or Indian setters or Asian. Like, it doesn't matter where they're from. If they're not from native English-speaking countries, there are cultural barriers, and that is just the reality of it. So I talk to people all the time who have overseas VAs, and as soon as they switch over to a North American setter, for example, results are just significantly better. So that's why we focus solely on here. My company sources people from these regions every single day, and for every 100 that we source, we only actually place one with our clients. Now, in terms of skills and traits, a super underrated trait is EQ. First, they have to be super coachable. If they're not coachable, they're not going to implement feedback, and they're going to take a long time to get ramped up. The industry average ramp time is about 30 days. We bring that down to about 7 days by making sure we get coachable people who are able to implement feedback very quickly. Digest and implement. EQ is something nobody really talks about, but there is a correlation between high EQ and sales performance. So we like to sometimes test people on their EQ. It's not like the biggest thing in the world, but it is something to look out for if you're looking for something to, tip the scale. I would look at EQ. They need to be punctual and highly communicative. Like, this is a non-negotiable. Communication as a setter, as a sales rep, is arguably the most important skill to have. And if they are not punctual, they're not communicative, the relationship's going to fall apart very, very quickly. And I've been doing this for like 4 years plus now, being a setter myself and managing setters. And I can tell you that as soon as communication falls apart, you are done. They need to have a realistic long-term vision and goal that also aligns with what your company can facilitate too, right? So the goal needs to be realistic. Like, if you have a setter who wants to make 20 grand a month, that's not realistic. So you need to make sure they have realistic expectations. They can come in and they'll be happy with the OTE, on target earnings, and what you're able to provide for them. And then make sure that they also understand that, like, this is a long-term play and they see the vision of your company and they align with that goal. And then typically just make sure they have at least 2 months of setting experience. Experience doesn't actually mean a whole lot to me. Now, it is good to have a fundamental understanding of appointment setting, but that can be trained. What can't be trained are the soft skills. So we care a lot more about the soft skills than we do the hard skills. So that's what makes the setter a good fit from a high level perspective. Now, once you have this setter, how do you actually lead them? So you need to set expectations properly. Setting expectations is a skill in itself. This needs to be very, very clear. So you have to have very clear SOPs. How to use a CRM, scripts, end of day reports, everything. All your SOPs should be very clear, and it should be extremely clear to the setter what you expect of them in terms of SOPs and protocols. Clear KPIs. Now, this goes hand in hand with SOPs, but they should have clear cut KPIs to hit every single day. That way, if they don't hit them, you have grounds to fire them essentially. Communication, make sure they understand where to communicate, when to communicate, and how to communicate. KPI tracking, so they need to be sending daily end of day reports with everything, right? How many people they messaged, how many conversations they had, how many call offers they've sent, how many people they set, how many people showed up, and revenue collected from those shows. And then a clear OTE. So make sure that you give them a clear, not a fake, on target earnings number, because they should be fully aware of what they can make if they hit and exceed KPI, and don't lie about what this number actually is, because a lot of people do that. Look at your monthly revenue and look at, if my setter hits KPI, what will I be doing in revenue? And then if your setter's commission is 5%, for example, then you multiply that revenue by 5%, and that's your OTE. You should have daily accountability. So we run a daily meeting where we address missed KPIs immediately. We don't allow them to cut corners. I will actually leave a breakdown of like how to structure this call in the description, so you guys have that, and like everything to go through on this call, and you'll have a good time with that. And then setter retention, finally. Now, once you have a setter who's, he's an A player, he's doing well, he's performing, he's hitting KPI, now it's about retaining this person, so you don't have to waste time and resources hiring a new person. So the core thing here is always be growing. You have to facilitate their growth and give the business what it needs, because as soon as things slow down, things get rough, right? At the end of the day, a setter is entrepreneurial just like you, just like any salesperson is. So they're always wanting to grow. If they no longer see a future with your offer, they're gonna leave. They want to see that you're constantly trying to improve the offer. Even if revenue isn't growing, if you're really putting in the effort and investing in your business to grow, they're going to recognize that. Give the business what it needs. You're responsible for getting better at closing, marketing, fulfillment, etc., so that the business can grow and your setter can make more money. Essentially, don't be the bottleneck in your own business. Hire with delegation in mind. So a setter alone isn't going to grow your business for you. It is one of the highest leverage hires you can make and one of the most revenue driving hires you can make. But if anything else in the business is broken, this isn't going to be as effective as it should be or as it could be. So you need to make sure that everything else in your business is being constantly improved, right? The ads or the outreach or the organic content, the fulfillment, make sure that these things are being dialed in and constantly improved so that setting is not affected by the other departments. It's your duty to solve bottlenecks. Increase inputs and ad spend when setter is hitting KPI. So if your setter is hitting KPI, then that means that setting is no longer the bottleneck, which means you need to increase your inputs. You need to put more leads through this machine that is already working. And then now that you have delegated appointment setting, you no longer have to spend 3 hours a day chasing leads. So invest that time into higher leverage tasks, which most of the time is marketing. So this is essentially what it looks like, right? Appointment setting is the bottleneck. You hire and train a setter to fix the bottleneck. The setter starts hitting KPI consistently. And now the bottleneck is closing leads or fulfillment. Whatever it is, solve it. And that is how you grow. So hopefully this video is helpful. It's fairly short, but value packed on exactly how we hire successful setters, how we lead them, and how we retain them. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video.